Alright, everybody, welcome back to this Death discography review that we've been delving into lately. It's already been a blast. We've been, knocked out the first two, and those, of course, were in the 80s. Now we're knocking out the 90s stuff, which we enter in 1990 with Spiritual Healing. And man, oh man, I mean, another crazy album cover by Ed Repka. You just get those. They clearly knew how awesome he was, because they just kept him around. And we have we kind of talked about last time how the lineup throughout the years for Death did kind of shift a lot. This was actually a pretty consistent lineup, as far as the last album went, Leprosy, which had the only guy missing. They got a new rhythm guitar player. He also does lead guitar too. So, I really shouldn't say rhythm guitar player. Him and Chuck both do lead. This guy, James Murphy here. Bill Andrews came back on the drums here. So he stayed. And, of course, Terry Butler was still on bass here. So, all 3 out of 4 guys were on Leprosy. So, that's a pretty consistent, a lineup that didn't shift too much. Just with one member replaced. So at least there's that. I know, again, later on we'll definitely see a lot of shifting going on, and so this is one of the times where, okay, just one member replaced. But yeah, this is quite the different album here, as far as the technicality, the speed is all still there, mind you, but it is more the way the melodies are presented and sung or growled, they are definitely more, they kind of have more of a groove to them that are in front of these very crazy time signature changes and everything. You see a lot more of that progressive nature in the music itself just get gradually, grow over the years for Death. And this one, it just really jumped big. Leprosy and Scream Bloody Gore already had that a little bit in there, kind of hints of it. This went all the way with that, as far as these just crazy time signatures. That leads us right into Living Monstrosity. What a kick-ass song. Wow. That's how you open it. My God, the darkness and the production on this thing I love too. There was already there's that, vicious sound to Death, the band itself. But the production on here, like Chuck's vocals have almost like this echoey kind of effect on them on here. And like the guitar tone too is like, got a lot of overdrive on it. It sounds like that's just really, really cool sounding. I just love, love, love the production on this album. And Living Monstrosity, this track, just right off the bat, the way the lyrics are even sung here, which they're a lot about, as the album title kind of suggests, with spiritual healing, it talks about like a lot of different philosophies and, morality, televangelists, in one song in the title track itself. So some interesting stuff, and the way the verses and the way this album's sung overall is almost kind of like, and it probably was intentional. I don't know, but it seems to me it's sung almost in a way that's like it's being like preached to you a little bit, as far as like, and not in a bad way. Like just with all these like prophetic things, these lyrics being said, very intelligent lyrics, and the way they just are kind of running together and the melodies are going. And it makes that Living Monstrosity makes that very clear. And I love this song. You get a good taste of a solid freaking breakdown on here right off the bat. With just an incredible, incredible opening track. I think a perfect opener to show what this album is all about, right here. Then we go to Altering the Future. My God, this is another one that was just monster of a track. This one is, I love where it just kind of breaks down and then, altering the future, and then kicks back into what it's going here. I love that part of it. Such a badass moment, where all this speed and technical drumming and all this stuff going on and shredding, and then bam, hits you right there with that. Such a cool song that follows up Living Monstrosity on side one here. Then we go on to Defensive Personalities, and my God, this one is just, oh, I love the lyrics in this. With every life comes a personality, or something of that nature, that just really, again, really prophetic lyrics that kind of sound like they're being, like read out of a book to you, is what's really crazy. It's oh, and to go back to Alter in the Future, my bad, I skipped over kind of what I wanted to say about this as well. And that's one of my favorite Death songs of all time, with Alter in the Future. And that one, the breakdown in there, just absolutely, bone chilling. Absolutely bone chilling. So, just throwing that in there. But anyways, back to Defensive Personalities. That is another really, really solid track with some cool lyrics to it. Really dark lyrics. They're talking about, just different people's, like the next track will say in its title, Within the Mind. Such a cool one. This, like I said with Death, you're just going to get greatness written all over for these. It's going to be a really tough time ranking these because of, their relatively short discography, but like each of these albums have their own vibe to them, and own sound. And Within the Mind is definitely another really, really cool song that I like. I love the riff in this one, just the tonation they get on the guitar in this one. And awesome lyrics in a great way to close out that side one. And all these tracks, they end, with like there's space in between where they end and everything, but they all just flow very well into one another. It all, they're all dealing with very similar themes, which the others, Leprosy and Scream Bloody Gore were, but these, they were dealing with some similar themes here and there, but this definitely has like an overarching, like, philosophical kind of theme to it. We start off side two with their longest track at this point in time yet, and I think it's like a 7-minute track, if I'm not mistaken. The record itself has it on there, but it's an epic, man, and it's one of my favorite songs of all time, by Death. This one changed the game for me. Hearing this track. Because I discovered him with Scream Bloody Gore, and then just kind of went in order, and I was already, into the death metal. After like the first two albums, I was already, discovering other bands and everything. But then I listened to this album, and I realized just how technical these guys could be. To mention a breakdown. Holy hell, dude! Spiritual Healing's breakdown is, and just the way, the visceral growl of spiritual, and then kind of like these, it almost sounds like it's echoing through, and then the healing, just such a crazy tune that has a crazy solo, and then they break down into these really sick riffs. And that's the thing, the riffs are definitely very strong on here. They stand out big time, and Spiritual Healing is one of those riffs that really stands out for me. Then we go on to Low Life. Man, son of a bitch, we got another killer track here. Big surprise, right? Come on. That is another one. That one, I love this is probably like the craziest growl on the record, and scream, shout, whatever the hell you want to call it, when it's just like, like Chuck is just, and it's, man, I'm over here blasting up my record player, and it's just, oh, I love it. Hearing that echo across the room, bounce off the walls, man. It's just an incredible sound. So definitely, Low Life gets big points for that. Incredible track. It has like the craziest growl, scream on the whole album. Like 100%. Then we go on to Genetic Reconstruction, where, you're talking about, he's talking about like a new society, relying too heavily on machines and everything. Again, very prophetic, kind of thing going on. I love the hook in this one. You know, the genetic reconstruction. You know, just I'm forgetting what it says on the top of my head after that. But it kind of goes along the same, you know, flows that same melody or whatever. But awesome song. Another big one that just always is one that a go-to track for me when it comes to death. We wrap it up with Killing Spree, which is a pretty badass banger of a track as well. I do gotta say, it's probably my least favorite off here. You know, again, that's not a mean it's a bad song, as you guys know. I do like to kind of point out if there is a least favorite of mine off here, what it would be, and I would say it's probably Killing Spree. But that's in no way a slight to. I just think it's less memorable than the others. But it was a solid ending. It was a fast track. Then drums were banging on here. I'm trying to think what maybe even the fastest song on here would be. I mean, Killing Spree's got a pretty fast kind of groove to it. And, you know, I did say that it was kind of a slower album compared to Leprosy and Scream Bloody Gore, but that, believe me, it's fast as all get out. It's just the way, you know, it's like Chuck's not, you know, singing as fast in some parts of this, you know, as in Leprosy and Scream Bloody Gore, where it is more of a faster pace vocal style as well. But Chuck is more kind of spitting these lines, reading them out of a book. It's like it sounds like, you know, very intelligent lyrics, and you know, with that, it really kind of in the background of that, everybody's going nuts speed wise and technicality wise. So, you know, if you didn't hear the technicality and the genius behind Chuck and the band as a whole, Death, on the first two albums, you really hear how progressive they can get, and they only take it even further from here, guys. I'm telling you, if you've not ever really listened to these guys and are just delving in and following along, then you definitely have got to be hearing like how these guys are evolving and so fast too, which is incredible. Because they, you know, they were, I think, pioneers of the death metal scene. Maybe not the first, you know, there's been argued about, you know, who it is. You know, what matters is that these guys were helped push along the genre and get it going. And I'd like to think maybe they may have, you know, helped kind of coin the death metal term. I don't know. But because, I mean, Possessed did have the song called death metal, so that probably is what did it. But either way, both pioneers of the genre. And these guys were really trailblazers as far as that was going with, you know, bringing in this very technical side to things. And that's really how a lot of this early 90s death metal would kind of, the routes they would take, this really technicality, really technical stuff going on. And this album is a prime example of just that early 90s death metal that still got the raw power behind it, but very technical at the same time. But with that being said, guys, next time, of course, we'll be taking a peek at Human. And man, I'm hyped to look back into that one and get to look at some more cool and crazy artwork going on here. That's always a fun part of, you know, it was a really fun part of Iron Maiden as well when we were going through their stuff. You know, I like talking about the album art and everything. But yeah, you know, let's talk about this thing down there. I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts. I've seen in some places people kind of rank this one lower, which I'm not going to spoil where I'm going to rank it yet. But I'm just curious to hear kind of what you guys' thoughts on it and everything. I know you Death fans are out there. Well, let's chat it up down there. I want to hear your guys' thoughts on this and the production, because this one does have a very different sound than the two prior albums. And you know, we could talk about the lineup changing again, because if I'm not mistaken, we do get a pretty drastic lineup change on Human coming up. But anyways, guys, yeah, thanks for watching. Super fun digging through this stuff, going with the heaviest stuff we've got yet. We're going to keep that going when we look at Human next time. Like, subscribe, and comment. Thanks, guys.